Okay, here we come, here we go. And once again, we are now starting the Final Fantasy VI Kappa percent speedrun, part 4. I've just recovered Terra / Tina. And the first thing we are going to do is do some auction house shopping if people will get out of my way. Now I mentioned, okay, getting right into this here, we've mentioned a few times how RNG works with RNG seeds and such things. Left, right, and let's see if I did it right or if I'll have to reset again. That's a little bit of there we go. Okay. So there are various things you can do to manipulate the RNG seed and how things progress, and it's kind of interesting if you study all that and map it out, because the RNGs are affected by really interesting things in this game. In the auction house, you only can ever buy it on the second go-around. Yay! I had just enough money for it. So it's pointless to do. So I'm talking about several different things at once here. But so I manipulated the RNG seed just by going in and out and observing the one character. The direction that they move is determined by the RNG seed you're on. So I can manipulate it and check what seed it's on, which the auction house is going to go to by observing the person outside. And it doesn't change when I enter the building there because there's nothing else affected by the RNG seed. No characters moving around. So I wait until they go into a specific pattern, and that allows me to get Zone Seek on the first try. Zone Seek is much more important in a regular 100% speedrun. It's usually skipped. You'd only pick it up on a 100% speedrun, not a any percent glitchless. But it's not as valuable to me, but it's still worth picking up there because that's the one place I'm really sure of the as we're the seed for it. And I got her equipped. Not yet. Okay. Go ahead and do my equipment. We come into the city and we're immediately greeted by the people of Narsh, who've been waiting a very long time for us since we ran off and were playing around with Terra for so long. The next portion of the game, they've decided that they do want to join forces against the Empire, but even with everything that they have, you know, the combined might of Figaro, the Returners, and Narsh, they don't have the manpower to take on the Empire, so they're going to need, you know, heavier artillery. So they figured they need the help of the Espers. So they know where the we have an airship, so we can fly to the southern continent where the sealed cave to the Esper world is supposedly located. And Terra is the only person who can form a bond with the Espers and possibly convince them to help us out. Now, if you don't have Terra in your party when you come into here, you can she will automatically show up anyway, and it actually wastes a little bit of time, so you want her in the party regardless, and you have to have her coming up, so we switched over to her. We're just going to have these two characters, which is the same as you'd see in most other speedruns, largely because Locke is good at running away, and you want to only get Terra experience, but again, since I have a couple of experience eggs, I can get the equivalent amount of XP on two people, and Locke is also very important to my run as a combatant, not just as somebody to run away. So I'm going to go ahead and keep both of them because I can. Now at this point you could also go and recruit Mog, and I have scripted that a little bit because I can give him a Moogle Charm, and he can keep a Moogle Charm no matter what happens. But I've kind of rooted that out recently because it just isn't worth the time, even for me with a Moogle Charm coming up. There are a lot of battles I need fighting here in the future now. So we're going to head straight over to the sealed gate. Nobody at the Imperial base camp for some reason. That's very odd. So there's nothing stopping us from walking right in. If you try and visit that in your first trip to the southern continent, there are guards everywhere and they don't let you through, of course. There are all sorts of things to prevent you from getting too far out where you're not supposed to go. Such things. Get enough time for that. far enough. Oh well. Cave to the Sealed Gate. There's quite a few treasures in here in a casual play if you're interested. You can get a good sword for Cyan. You can also get... now I'm all the way down there. Oh well. Warpstone can also be used to run away. It's actually a slightly faster animation than Smoke Bomb, which is why I bought so many of them. They have other uses too, of course, that we'll see very quickly here. But I'm not too concerned about running out of... Jeez, this could be very bad. Ooh. Rather tricky bridge, especially if you're trying to get the items. There's some really awesome weapons in this game. The Atma weapon, one of my other favorite weapons in the game, is in here. But unfortunately, even with the route that I'm running, it's not extremely useful to my run. You need a lot of hit points to make it really powerful, at which point it becomes the best sword in the game, but I'm not going to get enough hit points to make it usable, unfortunately. So to that, if you haven't seen the Atma weapon before and you want to check it out, you'll have to do your own casual speed run to really see it in action. But it's a great sword. So these Zombones and Ings that we will be encountering here in the cave are undead enemies, which are instantly killed by the Revivify, which is why I bought so many of them. As I've mentioned before in the early stages of the game, the important part about doing speedruns in a game like this is figuring out the risk versus reward, and risk including loss of time on everything you do. That was a loss of time. So the only battles, you want to try and not fight battles because they waste time, but if you are fighting battles, the ones you want to fight are the ones that are easiest to get out of and give you the most reward. And so that's what I'm doing here. It's very easy to kill all these undead enemies in this cave, and they give a lot of experience. So it takes very little time, and it helps give us enough experience that will be set. In certain runs of this game, you can get set for almost the entire game at this point, with the experience is good enough, and with the cascading effect of adding new members based on average level. I mean, it just all works out that you don't have to do too much grinding. There's really only one other grind session you do in a normal speedrun of this game after this, and then only in a glitchless, really, because with glitched, you can win the battle so easily you don't need any more experience at all. So, as I say, normally you would have to carefully plan it, the way you use your actions, so that this would actually work out well. I would now have Quexel start running away, and so now by the time that Terra finishes her action, he'd be able to run away, and all the experience would go to Terra, because you don't need Locke to do anything really in combat. He's not useful for it. But again, with the setup that I have here, with the way I'm playing this game, he is useful to me. So I want him to get as much experience and even more than that, magic points. This is actually the best battle for experience. I'm actually carefully planning out who I drop Revivifies on as well, because it makes it a whole lot quicker to do next time. Because if you target both people on the same, or Revivify on the same target, it actually does not go to the next target like you normally would. Instead, it casts Revivify on the dead empty space, and so it's actually just totally wasted. So the Sealed Cave is already almost over. You would normally spend a lot more time in here. And if you've watched these speedruns, you know they talk about ninjas on the floating continent and how much they're feared. And the reason that they're actually... you can't run away from them is the big problem. And the reason that you can't run away from them is actually because of the sealed cave here. If you trigger one of the wrong switches, a ninja will jump down on you, and he counts as a sort of mini-boss, which is why he can't be run away from. And as you may recall from the Velt, monsters, there are just certain monsters that have the flag of boss or no boss, and whether they can be run away from. And that never changes. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how they assign those flags at various points in the game, but since the ninjas on the floating continent are exactly the same as the one here in the sealed cave, even though they give experience, they're counted as a boss and you can't run away from them. Oh, Locke got a full heal here. And now Kefka's showed up, saying that he's used us. He pulled all the guards away from the gate so he could get inside the sealed cave, and he's going to let Terra open the gate for him and then take it. Normally we have to hold him off. I could beat him easily, but the faster way to win the battle is actually to just skedaddle. Goodbye. As I mentioned in the Shiva Ifrit fight, when you run away from a encounter that you're normally not supposed to be able to run away from, in that encounter they disable the L and R buttons so you can't use the run away command, but by using a smoke bomb you can still run away. But if you escape a battle without dying or without killing the enemy, it counts as a win for you if it's a story plot. That includes the final battle, which is something you'd see in a sketch glitch run. You win the final battle by removing one character from combat and letting the rest die. So you win the game without having to beat Kefka. It's rather interesting. You should check out Bix Speedrun at last year's RPG Limit Break to see that. It's pretty interesting. So all these familiar Espers are coming through. There's Chiron, there's Siren before, Terato, a couple of others that they didn't have any unique images of Espers. You know, obviously it's a Super Nintendo game, not a huge amount of graphical memory and all the rest, but even so, you know, they just reuse a lot of stuff. Here comes the skull face, or for some reason the other runners called it McDonald's sign. I'm not really sure I see McDonald's, but whatever. That funky rock formation. Now let me see if I'm going to waste a bit of grinding time here. I didn't get as many encounters as I normally like to. I'm a little low. I don't care. I'll just move on. I really like to be at level 21 or 22, but this is the other use of warp stones. Most dungeons in the game can be exited instantly with a warp stone. Now it's time to rejoin the party and see what's happened to all these Espers who came pouring out of the gate. Once again, the party order is what matters here. And Cyan, as I say, is next in line after Terra and Locke, so he's the person that appears here. If I had Cyan, these two, and Cyan and Edgar in my party, Sabin would appear. If I was missing any of those four in order, they would be the first one to appear. That's all that I can have at this point. Shadow, of course, would not appear because he's not in the regular party. And now the Esper's going to rampage. Once again, we're going to start seeing faces. That's Bahamut. If you get him later in the game, you'd recognize him. There's Chiron again. Bismarck. Lots of Chiron attacking us. Carbuncle. Phantom. You see a lot of Chiron, I think, probably as revenge because he skipped in so many speedruns. And now the game is glitching out, or something, as our ship goes crazy. We've been hit by the Espers. Great thing is, after flying mostly in a circle, we somehow end up on the other side of the continent. Now we're flying out north. Now we're heading back inland. Now we're going a little bit west. We're going northwest, though. Crash! If you think about the physics of this airship, crashing would be absolutely lethal to it, but even though it can't fly right now, they get it repaired in fairly short order. But we'll be without the airship until the very end of the first half of the game. Not going to bother changing the party. I've thought about doing it before a little bit, but I don't really need to. Don't need refreshments or anything. We're still level 20. don't care too much about getting too much experience from these things. We want to get to Victor as soon as possible and get on with the wonderful banquet and soldier talking sequence, one of my least favorite portions of the game. It's not too particularly hard, but and really, you know, because of the amount of battles I do fight and most of the rest of the game, I use Moogle Charm to avoid combat, so the Charm Bangle is not nearly as useful to me as it is in a casual speedrun, or rather a legitimate speedrun as opposed to my casual speedrun here. It's still I hate missing out on it. It has uses, and if you mess up, you can lose it, but you know, it's for the most part, it's not too difficult. It's just one of my things. It's part of my curse of being such a perfectionist and wanting everything. I really hate missing out on everything. My mentality is quite a bit different than most gamers. Now, yeah, doesn't matter that how fast I am. I have to wait. Now save half a second. Leaving and then coming back in makes him disappear. Funky little tricks to save a half second. The core of speedrunning. And here it is. Sid has managed to convince the Emperor to have a change of heart. This is the one sort of good thing that he sort of does in the game. But the Espers went crazy and turned Vesper into a flaming pit, and everyone's running around confused, including the returners who were trying to attack the city, but are now just wigged out by everything that happened, I guess. And Emperor Gestal wants to talk peace, but he needs us to convince his soldiers to go to peace with him. I'm a little bit behind on my magic points with Locke, but that's okay. I'm not too far behind, I'm pretty sure. So you have 4 minutes to talk to all these soldiers, and they make you waste a couple seconds before you really can even get going. So we start. There are 24 soldiers total. We only need to get 23. And even though you have to wait the 4 full minutes regardless, you can actually lose frames of time by going in through too many doors and such. So there's one soldier that's regularly skipped, and I'm going to do the same thing. Because that fade out when you're transitioning between rooms takes about a half second, and it freezes the timer, which is both good and bad. Number one, it keeps you from, you know, losing too much time, but it also means that it actually is longer than 4 minutes, which is a little bad. Kind of interesting. Well, that actually isn't right. You would almost think that Terra is more the child of Ifrit and not Maduin, because she learns Drain naturally. These are another couple items I don't really need so much, but I'm going to go ahead and grab them anyway because that's what you do. The back guard is especially useful in normal speedrun. Explosions are always good. This guy's one of the ones who attacks. Apparently some of the people who've checked scorecards say that you actually get more points towards the aggregate score by fighting than just by talking to soldiers, so skipping out on fighting soldiers is more detrimental than others, but still the best routing that's been done by people for total points versus total amount of time you spend getting them has been done. Oh, please don't troll me. This room can control you really badly. This guy poses peace. And I'm just about out of mana. I still have one more battle I need to do. You deserve a thrashing, especially if you have the demon chocobo at this point. One strike should finish him. No? Darn. Oh. 2 strikes will finish him. Okay, 20 seconds left. I can... Haha! Okay, now the other hard part. At least I don't have a demon chocobo scene getting in the way of my reading the text and picking the right options. As it turns out, the neutral thing is worth the most points, for the most part. Some of them are kind of subtle. Toasting our hometowns is better than picking either side, being too conciliatory or being too aggressive. Leave him in jail. It's just putting off the problem, but not making a decision on him as rash is the best way. Again, that's kind of middle. We don't even apologize again, just say the poisoning was horrible. Make sure he knows that. General Sentia, I would think the middle and the bottom are the same thing. We trust Sentia, and Sentia is one of us, but I guess having faith in Essentia is, declared faith in Essentia is stronger is the middle action, and that's why it's better. You need to ask at least 2 of these questions. You can ask all 3 if you like. I asked 2 and it's enough. Just you have to know the Espers have gone too far. There's no neutral ground there. This is the easiest thing. He asks you which question you asked first, which if you're asking them in order, which is the quickest anyway. This is the reason I restored all my mana, because now I have to do the fight. They want to fight for a couple of minutes. And you literally have a couple of minutes as another timer starts. We'll just use Madwin again, since I don't have any good abilities to use. Okay, almost done here. You need to hear that the war is truly over. We don't care if he wants peace or not, or that he's sorry, just as long as the war's over. We can all live happily. Of course, spoilers, it isn't. You can't trust Gestal, but, we gotta play our part if he's acting nice. And besides, we don't want the Espers running wild, destroying everything. We want, back to what Edgar said when we met in, now I can just mash again. As General Leo appears, he's going to accompany us. Too bad we don't actually get him in the party. Sad face. But, back to what Edgar said when we were first meeting up in Narsh after the first split up of the party. The Empire is evil, but not all of its people are, and the Espers destroying the entirety of the Empire is no better than the Empire destroying the world, pretty much. So they need Terra to go talk to the Espers, follow them to where they've gone, so she can convince them to want peace, and Locke is the consummate gentleman protector of women. He's going to go with her. The rest of the party has to stay put, which is one of the reasons why I've been using Locke so much throughout this entire game, because I can keep him, and so he can develop into a more powerful character. since I got enough bonuses to get everything. Now we'll see if I messed up anything at all. Imperial troops have withdrawn from South Figaro and Doma, which is mostly pointless. Those things pretty much always happen. Impeccable, and we got the Charm Bangle. Tintina Bar in a normal casual run can actually be really useful because it can be traded at the... I don't need to talk to him. What am I doing? Because at the Coliseum, if you offer up a Tintina Bar as your prize, you'll receive another experience egg. So you can actually... There are 3 Tintina Bars you can get in the game. One from here, one from doing the Imperial Soldier in Miranda quest, sending the letters to Lola in Miranda. In Mobilis is where that soldier is located. I can't remember where you get the 3rd one, but if you trade in all those, you'll end up with 4 experience eggs, and that makes... That makes leveling up multiple party members a whole lot easier. You can actually do it just about as efficiently with only a single experience egg by having one person at a time, as it were, get all the experience once you're able to do that. But well, I'm going to go ahead and go to the sealed cave here. This is a routing change that several people have experimented with, whether it's easier to come and collect the treasure after you before or after you get the airship back and before flying the floating continent. But it kind of saves even though I have to walk this extra distance and fight or run from these extra battles, which probably aren't worth it really because the minimal magic points they give. Let's try this one. That wasn't enough, so I'm just using up more Plexel's mana. Oh well. I'll be resting before too long anyway, so how much mana I use up isn't a real big deal. I'm doing this mostly to make up for the fights I didn't have in the sealed cave. I should have spent a little bit more time there. Yeah, they're only worth the experience point as well. 1 mana point. Decent amount of experience, but that isn't my concern. So anyway, one of the prizes we got for talking to so many soldiers and being good at the banquet was access to this place, which gives... This is the last real treasure. Well, I shouldn't say that, because there's decent places in the world of Ruin, especially on a 100% run, that you can visit. There's some good treasures you can get from here. Now head back to Albrecht. I'm going to avoid the rest of the fights. So coming up here is going to be segments. This actually is 3 magic points. That was definitely more worth it. Okay. She's got enough magic power, so I'm going to switch her to something that I can also use a little bit more. So coming up, we have some long cutscenes of our travel to Thamasa, where the Espers went, and these other people who are going to be joining our trip. Oh, Silas is back. Hey, Silas, good to know that the Empire didn't kill you for treachery or anything. It's been a little while. Something wrong? No, not at all. Never mind that when we last saw each other, I thought that she was a Imperial spy, despite everything we've been through. And she's not going to say anything, but just run off. Sigh. Okay, he says he's given us a room in town to rest, which is good since I've been using up all my mana summoning powerful Espers. There are just a few times in the game that you really have to sleep in inns, and actually a couple of them are in close succession here. Or sleep in general and get sleep. You know, one of the 4 beds that you split between. Works better in games like this than opposed to, say, Final Fantasy IV, where everybody sleeps in a single bed. You wonder how that works. Here's Silas's theme, which is the same as the Maria's theme. Don't worry, I will not be giving an encore performance of Oh My Hero. Quexel's trying to apologize, but Silas doesn't seem ready to talk to him yet. She just walks off, leaving poor Locke to stew in his regret over being an idiot. Because quite honestly, yes, he was... I still don't know what he was thinking there. Whatever, you know, plot-driven story thing. So, okay, time to head to our ship now. Now we get to ride our ship. This is one of those points in the game where I'm really tempted to activate the fast forward mode and go through this quickly. It's a very long trip with a lot of drama and such going on. Terra's still trying to come to grips with who she is and how she can interact with the human world as a half Esper, half human. Even knowing what she is now doesn't help her with those emotional problems. I should have given the switch shoes to Terra this time around so that she could have saved half a second walking up to Leo, but oh well. Little things. Again, I'm not the best at shaving off those half seconds all the time. Leo, the honorable soldier of the Empire, feels regret for some of their actions and such. He feels that since he didn't do a bigger job of speaking up in behalf of people like Silas and Terra and the people and the Espers, that he's just as responsible as the men themselves. As for Terra, she's still trying to figure out love and the rest. You're just young, Leo says. I understand all too well what you mean, though, whatever that's supposed to mean. We don't find out much about him if he had, like, a wife or something he lost. Tells her eventually she'll learn about love, but she says, I want to know what love is now. I want to know what love is. I want you to show me. Sorry. Junpei wants to sleep out under the stars. I didn't mean to overhear anything. Don't talk to me. I can't help you. You must look within for answers. Yeah, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel if you're asking the cold assassin for love advice. In this world, there are many like me who've killed their emotions. Don't forget that. And now the comedy relief to this serious drama. Oh, who knew that Locke was like Natsu Dragneel? Doesn't get that way on the airship, though, interestingly. I think I'm gonna toss it all. Not a word of this to anyone else, oh shrouded one. Oh, poor Locke. Oh, these scenes. Oh, thank goodness they're over. Okay, instead of heading straight into the city, we decide that we're going to make landfall, right on a random beach, and we don't know where the ship goes. Sentia and Leah will go in one group, probably at Sentia's request, and so Shadow's going to go with us, although he's going to be almost useless. Now, Silas is trying to mend bridges, and Locke is the uncooperative, uncommunicative one. Ah, young love. Drama! So here's the big question you normally see in speedruns that sometimes people take bets on, is that now that Shadow's joined the party, will we actually get into a battle with Shadow? And if you've been paying attention to the run so far, you know that the answer to that is no, because Shadow has not yet been stripped of stuff, so he still has a Moogle charm, so I can wander around all I like and not get an encounter. Okay, enough wasting time. You can see a lot of interesting things if you explore the town, but we're trying to get on with it, so first thing we have to do is talk to Strago here. Strago's an almost useless character, but nonetheless, I'm going to grace him with my name, and he is going to be MSKain. Espers? Not really familiar with that word. Oh, but that would mean you've heard it before. Nope, no, can't say that I have. Honestly, can't say I have. Sure, old man. You're doing a convincing job. I love how even Shadow gets into the act of looking thoughtful. Sometimes the actions they have him take with his sprite just seem totally incongruous with his character, like when he was helping get Terra and Zozo. Now the little girl has shown up, and she's an annoying, bratty little girl who we're going to grace with the name of the most annoying, bratty little girl in anime. We're going to call her Chibi-Yu, in honor of Chibi-Usa from Sailor Moon. Who are these people, friends? Can they use magic too? Oh, what a cute doggy! Cute doggy hates everyone, but some reason seems to be putty in little Chibi-Yu's hands. Is his name Luna P, maybe? Not Interceptor? What a sweet puppy! Anyway, she let the cat out of the bag by asking if the party can use magic too. Whoops! Strago, that's water under the bridge and over the dam, and you know, the bridge has been burned behind him, but he's still trying to convince us that this is just a quaint little town. They say we should have a look around, but we actually don't need to. Interestingly, if you come into this town before, when you first get the airship, or go anywhere else in town before talking to Strago, this is the most uncooperative town in existence. The shopkeepers call you strangers and won't sell anything to you. The innkeeper charges you $1,500 for or gold pieces rather, for a night at the inn, you know. But suddenly you talk to Strago, and that's the trigger that makes everybody a lot more cooperative. Okay, about all I really want for now. I picked up 2 pieces of magicite. Wonder where I got those. Charm Bangle, Tintinabar, they don't sell. Neither of them sell for much, so I might as well keep them. Flame Saber, I'm gonna sell. Wall Ring. Jarrett down. I'll keep this Fire Schemes just because. Skyrim, Flash, Tiger Claw, Dread Soft Ring, I need all those. I'll sell one back guard. I might keep the other. Shoes, Ice Rod, Ether, Running Shoes, Auto Crossbow, Curing, Blizzard. Okay, that's good enough. I will actually have a use for those rods, and now I'm going to be saving all my money for one last shopping trip at the end of the game. And now that we've talked to everyone, we can actually talk to villagers, we can see interesting things around town, and the innkeeper suddenly decides to have a fire sale, and charge only 1 gold piece for a night of sleep. This stays for the whole rest of the game. He only charges a single gold piece. Best in if you ever want to, like, see if you can get all of Shadow's dreams or whatnot. But fire seems to be the word. Neighbor's house when a fire broke out. Oh no, yeah, fire sale. That someone took it a little bit too literally, maybe? I don't know. And Junpei shows his usual self by sleepily remaining in bed. So we have to leave him behind. Yeah, what a useful ninja. But Interceptor ran off with us because he likes Realm, so that's the one thing that gets Shadow out of bed. Really? Chibi-Yu's inside that building. Yep. Oh, fire's getting more intense. Chibi-Yu! Oh, Strago's casting a spell. Flames be gone! I think you need to take that spell back for a refund. Magic is forbidden! I don't care! Chibiu's inside! Flames be gone! Alright, we really have no choice. Stand back. Now they're all going to gather here, and then Mr. Sleepyhead, who messed up, comes and joins as well. But it looks like, from what they're showing with the graphics here, it seems like only 3 of them are actually casting spells. Mayor's going to cast a spell. That guy's going to cast a spell. The others are standing there as if they're helping, but they don't seem to be doing very much. Of course, neither does the spell. It's making the flames worse. They keep too many fire rods in there. Yeah, that does sound like it would be a bit of a problem. Is that where the storehouse for all the ones we bought in the shop? Okay. Try to avoid the flames. Okay, I'm going to try to avoid the flames, but I'm getting any fights now because I'm kind of... Woo, yay! I actually avoided one. I'm actually going to go ahead and kill these guys since I'm kind of behind on... a few of my experience and stuff. Normally I'd have what I want by now. They're unfortunately not worth very much magic points, but they're worth experience too. Now you may notice Hakureik only costs 1 mana because MSKain also has a economizer and a gem box, so the gem box doesn't do him much good. Mostly I have them equipped on him so that I can use them later on in the game. Speaking of which, though, I think I'm going to get my 3rd experience egg and give it to him instead of the gem box since he can't cast normal spells. The economizer is awesome because it reduces all spells, including Esper summonings, no matter how expensive they are, to just a single mana point in cost, MP cost, so... And yes, balloons are weak to both water and fire, and the water element does work properly in this game, unlike, say, Final Fantasy V, where there isn't, even though there are attacks that look like they're water, there technically isn't a water attribute. But water is a rare attribute, but there are a few sources, and if you want to, you know, play the game fully and actually get water attacks for characters like the Dirt Dragon, there we go. Now I'm going to avoid all the fights. And run away from the rest. I don't need to use the smoke bomb when I pincer. If you're paying a lot of attention, you might have seen a very interesting spell appear in my learning category, and you're going to see it in action here in a minute. And actually, because of that, I need to switch around some relics. That other door is fake. Fortunately, ones in this room respawn after... Oh, wow. That's pretty amazing. Free rods are worth spending a little time to grab. I actually managed to avoid a lot of flames. That's been pretty good. And here's the source of the blaze. Alrighty, now here's how we're going to win the rest of the game. Now, if you semi-know this game, you might be wondering where this came from. If you know what spell it is. And here is a rod. Super damage. But no, seriously, where did Ultima come from? There's only one Esper in the game that, and this is the whole reason behind both the Illumina and the Paladin Shield. There's only one Esper in the game that teaches Ultima, and that is Ragnarok. And it's found in Narsh at the very end of the game. But the person who has it is the owner of the sword weapon shop, who's holed up inside his house, and you have to get Locke to open the door to get in. And he actually offers to turn the Ragnarok Mazurite into a sword, forge a sword out of it, and it becomes the Ragnarok sword, which is the second most powerful sword in the game. The most powerful is the Illumina, which you acquire by offering the Ragnarok up as your prize in the Colosseum. And the Illumina is beyond awesome. But if you take the sword, you're giving up the one Esper in the game that teaches the Ultima spell, which of course is the best spell in the game, does the most damage. It's non-elemental and completely ignores magic defense. I think it also actually ignores magical power and does damage based only on your level. But I'll worry about that later. I'll talk about that more later, but it's a super awesome spell, and it's really the best spell in the game for easily handling bosses and such. So if you give up the Ragnarok Esper to get the Ragnarok sword, you can't learn it, at least not from that Esper. There is, however, one other source of the Ultima spell. If you've watched speedruns, you know that elemental shields, such as fire shields, ice shields, and thunder shields, you can break them in combat just like rods, use them, and they cast a level 3 version of the spell that they're in. Bolt 3 or Ice 3 or Fire 3, so they're really powerful. However, they have another property that is lesser known, that they actually teach elemental spells just by equipping them, just as if they were Espers. It's the level 2 version of the spell in question, so if you equip a Fire Shield and you don't have Fire 2 learned, as you gain magic points from combat, you'll eventually learn Fire 2. And the Paladin Shield also teaches you magic, and the spell it teaches you is Ultima. Once again, to get the Paladin Shield, it's also in Narsh. You have to open another room, another place in town, and there's a guy inside who will give you the Cursed Shield, telling you if you break the curse, it'll become extremely powerful. The way you break the curse is by equipping it and suffering all the consequences thereof, and then fighting for 256 total battles. And it has to be equipped on somebody who earns magic points, so you can't equip it on Go-Go, for instance. That's the only caveat there. But then the Ultima spell is learned by equipping the Paladin Shield. So now Locke is going to go through the rest of the game having the Paladin Shield. And it's why he's so essential to my run, because he can be in the party the longest of anybody, and so he's the first person to learn it. If I don't use him as much as I do, that's why I want him and Terra and Silas, because they're also learning Paladin spell, and Edgar as well. They're the ones that you have the most overall, so they're the ones who can most easily learn the Ultima spell and therefore make the rest of the game from here a very easy cakewalk. So since we saved Chibiu, back to the storyline now that my grand evil plan has been revealed. I should have picked up that while I was there. It would have been useful. You really don't need any other magic once you have that. Now that my grand evil plan has been revealed, back to the story. Since we helped save Chibiusa, we learned that this village is the home of the Mage Warriors, the descendants of the Mage Warriors who fought in the War of the Magi. They were blamed after the world was nearly destroyed, and so they were hunted down, and they formed this little village where they've been keeping their powers secretly. They still have access to a little bit of magic, even though their powers aren't as strong as they once were. But the Espers' origin is supposedly somewhere near here, so they've probably fled to this area because of that, and so he's agreed to help us find the Espers since we saved Chibiusa. I don't really need to get in too many more fights right now at this portion. The risk-reward is not in my favor, so I'm just going to be avoiding pretty much everything. Almost out of smoke bombs, and then I'll start using warp stones. This is also just about, no, not quite, but almost the last portion, next to last portion of the game where I'm going to be running away, actually. I won't have to worry about it. Once again, just like where I pointed out at the very beginning of the game that I couldn't get an elixir until Arvis had wandering around, you can't go through these doors until Chibiusa finishes wandering around. So if she appears on screen or in the map face basically and is wandering around shadowing us, even though we told her to stay home, we have to wait until she gets through everything before we can actually go anywhere. So we found these statues here, which are supposed to be the source of all magic, or they're not very clear in the translation what these are, but these statues are apparently just made in memory of, kind of based on the statues that are supposed to be the warring gods of magic turned to stone. And they do have some sort of power influence of their own. Yeah, I do. And here comes Ultros, and he's going to stomp on me a little bit there. I don't need experience eggs anymore since I'm done fighting for experience at this point. Don't you ever learn, Squidball? No, I said I was a slow learner, but I eat fast. I was just thinking about you. I have more lives than I do arms. Yeah. So, Ultros has appeared again, the big pain in the neck, so he's weak to fire. And everybody is weak to Ultima. Right now, Terra's mostly useless until she learns a few more spells. Oh, and suddenly jumping into the fight is Chibiu. Realm has come to join the party. And she thinks that Ultros is interesting, calls him Sweetie. What is it with her and the most dangerous of pets? He wants to paint her Uncle Ulti's portrait. Ultros, of course, doesn't like the precocious little girl, and when he tells her off, she starts acting very dramatic. I'm going to throw myself from this cliff. Drama! And so now we have to convince the stupid octopus to let her paint her portrait. Yes, every fight with Ultros is this weird. Now, normally, the way you're supposed to win the battle is letting Realm sketch him. And, but since I X-cast, that's kind of an interesting trick. That's not supposed to happen. My second Ultima will go off and finish this battle instantly. I love Locke's position there. There are a few things in the game that can cause it to glitch out and move your position like that. Mostly if you use the sketch glitch. I guess you could consider this that a glitch, but it doesn't do anything. It's not something I can really... I could avoid using X magic like I did, but still, I don't care. I finished the battle easily. Here's another really stupid place where I often mess up. I'm always running through the wrong... dropping through the wrong hole. There's a few interesting items in this cave that you can pick up, but I really don't need any of them, so I'm avoiding them all as usual, and just falling here. Quite possibly I should have saved the game there and put up here, but I guess I'll have to go through this long cutscene first to finish off this portion of the game. Goodness gracious, there's a lot of them. For a second I was wondering if they'd be worth fighting, but I'm going to save all the rest of my fighting for the floating continent. Now that I have Ultima, I can easily clear through the monsters on the floating continent, which normally are extremely scary, and that will allow me to finish leveling up Terra and Celis and get them set up so they're in a similar situation to Locke. That's especially important for Celis, who's the only character you get at the start of the next battle. There's a few things I could do with that. I'll explain more about that when I get to it. I could just rely on Edgar instead, but I really like Celis. She's one of my favorite characters. And so, I like relying on here. So once again, we're meeting the Espers, whose sprites are all from Secret of Mana. We have little flammy dragons, and we have fairies, and we have werewolves. That's what they all seem to be. What about me? I'm a human. Okay, there's a lot of Espers. Maybe it's time to take the little kid and run away. Except, naturally, that's not going to work out because, spoiler alert, they came from behind. I don't have to worry. I have Ultima, right? Definitely don't have to worry. Ultima is all-powerful. Oh, wait! This guy, you might recognize him as the youth in Madewine's backstory / dream sequence, memory sequence, whatever. And so he definitely senses the familiar power in Terra, and he seems to be the leader of this group of aggressive Espers. So we finally have our sit-down meeting with the Espers, and we learned that they didn't actually intend to totally torch Vector, and they're actually feeling sorry about it. When they came to this world, they lost control of their powers, kind of like Terra did when she met with Tritalk. So apparently Espers have to do a lot of practice to control their powers in this world, something that we never really knew about before. These ones responded to broke through the seal just because they wanted to find their buddies, and therefore they doomed their world and possibly ours, but we'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, they are very sorry about the lives they lost. They don't realize that the people they attacked were largely the biggest, baddest evils in the world, and so they're more than willing to sit down and talk. They're amazed that we would even forgive them for what was done, but we say they're also feeling sorry for doing that to their people. It looks like we can come to a concord. So here is our game ending sequence. It looks like Leo and Yura are going to bury the hatchet. World's gone to peace. Silas and Locke are actually willing to talk to each other now, so they're going to, they've worked out their problems, so everything's, nice, peaceful, happy ending here. Awesome. I'm too hot, Grandpa. Kids. Probably some sort of weird comment calling attention to, the overly romantic nature of Locke and Silas there, but, oh, what's that laugh? What's that laugh? I know that laugh anywhere. So much for rotting in prison. And in come 3 Super Magitech troopers to help out. These guys are so ridiculous, it's just, what can you say? Boom! Yeah, even the troopers accompanying Leo. Kefka doesn't care about anyone or anybody. What are you doing? The Emperor's orders! I'm going to bring these Magicite to His Excellency. Should have been Imperial Majesty. Excellency is a count. It's one of the things that actually bugs me about most people from America don't know how to properly use titles of royalty and nobility. Highness is commonly used for kings and queens. It is never to be used for kings and queens. Highness is used for princes. Princes, princesses, counts, and dukes are pretty much the same social status ranking, as it were, so you can use it for them sometimes if they're also, extensions of the royal family, which dukes usually are. But Majesty is the only proper address for kings and queens, and Emperor should be your Imperial Majesty. So anyway, enough about that. Now we get to use Leo. You can actually wander over and fight the Magitech guards, but they are the Guardian, the same one guarding the Emperor's Palace the first time you go into Vector, when you're trying to go to the Magitech Research Facility. They're totally immune to everything, including his ultimate shock technique. Until I encountered Speedrun, I did not know that Kefka had this many hit points, because I'm usually about level 30-ish or more, 35-ish at this point. And Leo, of course, his level is based on yours, and he's really powerful at level 35. Once again, level making so much difference. And he one-shots Kefka. But on a speedrun, normally you're even lower level than this, and so it takes quite a few hits to kill Kefka. I'm using Shock to show off, because Shock is cool. It actually does less damage, and it takes longer than his basic attack, so you don't want to use it. But I did it once for swag there. Leo, always the consummate soldier. Where are you, Kefka? Show yourself. Emperor Gestalt, I need you here. Voila. So now Kefka's going to kill Leo after bedazzling him with stupid magic tricks and stuff. Poor General Leo. Such a cool character. Although his portrait is really weird and ugly. It looks like in his portrait that he's supposed to be black, but You know, not that that alone makes them ugly, but it's just really bizarre looking, and the face does not... It was not particularly drawn well, so we don't want to open the menu and look at him. Hate, hate, hate! He's... I guess, you know, Taylor Swift was right. Haters gonna hate, 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 hate. Now the Espers are coming. More Espers are decided that they... Even though this was pretty far away, somehow they're sensing all this magical chaos going on from beyond the sealed gate. And so they decide that they're going to bust out and go help out their buddies. This is such a fabulous idea. I can't tell you just how good this idea is. As our skull or McDonald's sign or whatever it is going to be disappeared. Gates open and out come more Espers, just like they did when Terra talked to the thing. And we'll get to see more friendly copies. There's Bahamut again. Wait, we're here to help. There's Zone Seek. That's Fenrir. Hurry. Shiva. Going. Kyrin again. Bismarck. Carbuncle. Phantom. Now a Mode 7 zoom across the land, going the wrong way and then turning the right way to go up to Thamasa. Looks like they're going to the forest of Thamasa. Let's see how Kefka is intimidated by these. Let me show you my Magicite collection someday. You might see a few familiar faces. Let's neutralize your abilities. And whatever spell he's using to do that also makes the Guardians disappear. My word. Just thinking about the kind of stats it takes to do that. It makes my head hurt. Pop! Magicite Magnet spell. Hey, this is where killing enemies off screen, you know. I guess he learned this from Tight Kubo. Okay, here's the other bet in the game. How many hits? 2. Nope. Already lost. 0! 0 hits. That's one of the games that speedrunners play at this point, since there's nothing to do, is to guess how many times Red Ifrit here gets attack off on Kefka. He has a very low chance of hitting, and even if it does hit, it only heals him, so it's pointless, but it's just something to pass the time. They're warm to the touch. What treasures! Yeah. I really think that Kefka is actually equipped with a Paladin shield because of how he absorbs pretty much all elements and has such a huge evasion stat. And now collect all of them! If only Mega Man could collect the energy capsules that easily. Now he has had enough until he goes through the sealed cave. I don't believe it! Somehow he's able to see from there that they actually left the door hanging wide open. We all know what they say about that. So poor General Leo gets his grave. For some reason, Terra really seemed to have a connection with General Leo. And now Interceptor limps in. They did a very nice job of showing him limp with that stutter stepping for the low graphics of this game. In some ways, I think Final Fantasy VI is the most beautiful of the Final Fantasies, because even though it's pre-3D, what they do with their 2D sprites and with their backgrounds and stuff is just awesome. I mean, the overall backgrounds, especially in battle and stuff, actually still look so magnificently well painted and everything. So the party's shown up, the airship's been fixed, and big surprise, the Emperor's a liar. You don't say. We never could have expected that. But it looks like Edgar's womanizing finally paid off, since he convinced the serving girl who brought them tea to blab off about the entire plan, so they were able to escape. General Leo's gone, which is sad even for the members of the Returners. He was their enemy, but the nicest member of their team. Strago and Realm want to come with, now that they've been involved in this, so we decide to let them. Although there's some resistance to Realm at first, with her wonderful dialogue. I don't think so, MSKain's natural response to everything Realm says.
What? Who's this puffed up aerobics instructor anyway? I'm gonna paint your portrait.
No! Of course, we never actually see Realm use the power of sketch in this run, but Edgar's having some second thoughts for some reason. Come on, lover boy. How old are you? 10. Why? You've grown up entirely too fast. Ah, what a forceful personality she has. Yeah, annoying little girl. Okay, we're going to save the game here. And put it up for now, and next time we will be taking on the floating continent with the power of Ultima. So look forward to that. And we will once again see you all next time.